So get up. Top of the morning to ya.
Now, back to Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 33 minutes after the hour, and our Monday visit with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. It's really a treat to have Dr. Mark Christian on with us because he really brings it down home as far as what we should be paying attention to, the big issues, and how the big media doesn't seem to really follow what's important for our American citizens. Dr. Mark Christian, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's an honor to be on your show.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, Mark, and you were just saying that this happened late Friday, this beheading of Alan Henning. He's a British aid worker, so he's a citizen of the UK, and UK Prime Minister David Cameron condemned it as barbaric and repulsive, vowing to bring those responsible to justice. And you said something very interesting. You said the American media, the people, they're not paying attention.
It is, we get sensitized to it already, Greg. You can see that the media is not paying attention much to the beheading, and definitely we have so much going on. We have the Ebola patient outbreak, or which should say outbreak, but we have the Ebola patient in Dallas, and we have yet another Ebola patient that's been transferred to our city. Just this morning, he arrived at the University of Nebraska Medical Center just minutes ago, and we have a fight going on, and we have the previous Ministry of Defense saying this war is going to take 30 years.
Right.
So we have lots of things going on right now that keep people busy, and some of the people right now are tuning off what's going on and just minding their own business and overwhelmed and don't know what to do.
Well, and I'm feeling that, and I'm thinking, okay, how can we, on this show, help folks, because, they want to get a tidbit of it, but they want to also, I don't think they can trust the source anymore, and they realize, listen, I've only got so much time. I've got time for my family, time for my work, time for myself. I don't have time for politicians who are going to stand there, look at me, and lie to me, and then the information is so jaded when it comes through. Unless they're marching down the street, coming at my community, I don't know if I'm going to be interested.
See, the biggest problem that we do not have the privilege of doing nothing, Greg, and I've been saying this multiple times. We do not have the privilege of doing nothing. And yes, we have a very busy life going on, but we have also kids to protect, grandkids to protect, future to protect, freedom to protect, and we cannot rely on the government that has been already infiltrated by Islamists or who are telling them what to do. So we have to do something, and we cannot stand still anymore, and we cannot be sensitized. And it's a very urgent thing. What to do is to get educated, first of all, and second, you need to get behind one of those ministries or those organizations out there, like Global Faith Institute is one of them, is to try to help us out in our fight, because we are fighting for those people and those folks that has nothing or not able to do anything. And really we need and encourage people to help us out in our fight. And I see it this way. See, this is the biggest problem in the country right now, that we have Bill Maher. You are familiar with Bill Maher, right?
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
He comes out to speak against Islamic ideology and in favor of the Christian church, and also for the Judaism and the Judeo-Christian values of the United States. It is very disturbing. I know I applaud him for doing what he's doing, but it is very disturbing that you have only Bill Maher, the only person that can speak out for the Christian values and Judeo-Christian values of the United States. We have to start somewhere. We have to recognize the problem, and we have to help folks understand that the problem is not people but an Islamic ideology. And this Islamic ideology exists. We have seeing it at display in Europe, in the Middle East, and in the United States. We have a beheading in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not very far from me, Greg. It is a walking distance at the time.
My goodness. I can't imagine how that has affected your community.
Well, everybody is just like afraid and scared, but at the same time, they don't know what to do. We have to start somewhere. We have to understand what is the enemy. The enemy is an Islamic ideology. It is worse than communism. It is worse than Nazis and all that kind of stuff. And we have to be stopping it from being preached in our soil of the United States of America. The second thing, we have to stop those organizations that's helping them. This is one step after another. We cannot continue working the way we are going in this country anymore. We have to recognize the ideology and to stop being preached in the United States, and we have to stop the organization that is helping it. This is where we need to start.
Exactly. And for anyone that's just joining us or picking up, Dr. Mark Christian has started the Global Faith Institute, and he himself was brought up, born and raised in Egypt, through groomed as a Sunni and brought up to the Muslim Brotherhood, but then has converted and is a born-again Christian. And now the Global Faith Institute is something that, Mark, you say it perfectly, to help Muslims as out of their bondage. And there are Muslims around the world that simply are stuck. They can't get out because they have threat of having their whole family exterminated, if you would. So what do? So we can only do is one thing, and that is pray for them, that they can somehow
we pray
find
for them, and you look at it this way. We have 7 to 8 million Muslims living in the United States right now. And the Islamists are fighting to win those people for their agenda. And also should the Christians and one of those organizations like Global Faith Institute are trying to get those people to know the truth of this country and what this nation stands for, the United States of America, and also to understand what Jesus did for them as Muslims as well, and to understand that the freedom of Christ can also be for them if they accepted him. And we have to explain that. This is one of the things that we are doing tirelessly, that we have to get those lost souls as well in our side. We should not let them be a prey for the Islamists to take advantage of the Muslims over here in the United States.
Exactly. Mark, we've got a quick break coming up, and I want to talk about this, that exact thing. I want to talk about as well, when we come back from this break, the tie-in with Israel. And, of course, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been going around he talked to the UN last week, and how that is, because the Gaza Strip and the Palestinians, they're still there. There's supposedly some kind of ceasefire, but I mean, it all ties together. So let's continue when we come back right after this quick break right here on KCMX News Radio 880 and the Sunrise Show. Craig Froenigan is your host. Glad to be with you. We'll continue with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute right after this break. Stay tuned.
This is Sunrise on News Radio 880 KCMX.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 47 minutes after the hour, we've got Dr. Mark Christian on with us with the Global Faith Institute, continuing on the program. And you can get to his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. And Mark, right before the break, we were talking about and wondering what's the latest on Israel. And, of course, I see that, they're talking about, well, okay, Israel's now accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire. And it's just, what's going to happen next?
Well, the problem is going to continue as Benjamin Netanyahu has been going around and telling people they have to pay attention. Hamas is ISIS and ISIS is Hamas, and all the Islamists and the Islamic extremes are all the same. They are believing in the same ideology, which is revival of Islam and conquering the world and establishing the Islamic State and defeating the Jew and killing every one of them. This is the Islamic ideology. This is exactly what Islam has been teaching for the last 1,400 years. And some people choose not to agree with this. Some people, choose to live with it. And those are the people that we have a problem with. But the problem that the people who does not want to agree with this from the Muslim community has no voice whatsoever, and they have no weight or legitimacy whatsoever. So the problem in Israel will continue as long as ISIS and as long as Hamas, and as long as the Islamic ideology that calls for the eradication of Jews off earth exists.
It's interesting, Mark. Now you realize how important the whole issue of nuclear weaponry, and just what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said is that a bad deal is a bad deal related to arms for Iran. And you think if any of that were to get out, if Iran...
Let me tell you something about Iran and nuclear weapons. Iran will continue trying their best to get nuclear weapons for multiple reasons, and many Americans don't understand that. Iran wants to get nuclear weapons because they need to be protected from the Islamists and for the Sunni Muslims. In the media, nobody's talking about this, but this is a very important factor for the Iranians.
Right.
The Iranians understand very well that if the Islamic State was established and the Sunni united all together, Iran will be at a big danger from the Muslims themselves, who wants them eradicated and killed. So they will pursue getting a nuclear weapon to be a force against the Islamists or against the Sunni Muslim movement. Also, they want to have the nuclear weapon so they will look like, the big, nuclear force in the Middle East, threatening Israel and have the force over Israel. Because, again, it is the Islamic teachings that say it and called for the eradication of Israel. And Iranians happens to be Muslims. It's not like President Obama says the Islamic State is not Islamic, which is very weird kind of, statement, because also Iran has the name of Islamic Iran, the State of Islamic Iran. This is the name of Iran, actually. So Iran is going to continue following the same teachings of Islam, that they need to work tirelessly to eradicate Israel.
It really is something, and if you watch, Prime Minister from Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, talk about that, and he says, they don't need the core. He said to have the whole plutonium issue and the whole, uranium issue as far as for power and things. That's one thing, but you don't need this core that he's talking about and how it gets transferred into nuclear weaponry.
And it is one of the things that. During the debates or presidential debates, the last one between Romney and President Obama, they continue that they don't have the delivery vehicles to take it to the United States. That's why it is not a threat to the United States. People have to understand that you don't need, ballistic missiles to do that. If somebody cross the border or have the ability to come over the United States, they can cause a threat. Islamists or Islamic nations never fight the war the same way that the United States think about war. They always continue fighting an asymmetric warfare. They deliver people that are willing to die for the cause. When you promise people with heaven when they die, then they have people are willing to do whatever it takes so they can go to heaven and resurrect the Islamic State or fight for Islam. And this is the problem. They don't need ballistic missiles to deliver the nuclear weapons in the United States. They can do a very primitive nuclear weapon that can cause lots of damage in the United States or in Europe or in Israel or in other places.
They really can. They really can. And Mark, it's fascinating. Of course, we're running out of time, but your website, globalfaithinstitute.org, you've got books on there for sale, and really, I encourage everyone to just check all of that out. The books are
We are leading the fight, Greg. We are leading the fight to close down all the Muslim Brotherhood organizations in the United States, and to stop the preaching of Islamic ideology that talks about terrorism in the United States. And please help us out, and please rally behind us and check us out. GlobalFaithInstitute.org.
Well, that's it. And you can get on there and sign on for their weekly newsletter as well. Just throw in your email address and do it that way. Mark, it's fascinating stuff, because only from the standpoint is getting the information here, right here on this show, that you don't get nationally from the media. They don't seem to be covering these issues so that people can understand them, so they can understand how serious they are, so that they understand that, you just chip away a little bit at a time.
Greg, you are one of the bravest media anchors out right now that's willing to go after the truth and to present the truth to his audience. I applaud you for being brave and standing up for your values and for your convictions.
Well, Mark, I appreciate that. I just have always felt that if we get the information out to the people, they are very intelligent, very smart. They're following along. They're just not going to put up with this fake, ridiculous on the surface story. They want the nuts and bolts, and right here, we want to give it to them. So, and Mark, you're a wonderful asset for that as well. So I applaud you as well, Mark. It's keep on, keep it on. We've got to get going. We've got a Bloomberg Market Update coming up next, but Dr. Mark Christian with the Global Faith Institute. Check out his website, globalfaithinstitute.org. We'll be right back.